This is a good one. This is a this thing spans about this story spans about 35 years, 40 years maybe, and I don't know, has some Obi-Wan in there, a little bit of Yoda in there. But this was really, really interesting. It took me about 35 years to finally get it. But so here it is. I'm in college. I'm playing tenor sax. That's what I played. And like a lot of sax players, you kind of identify with the particular sax you play. I'm playing tenor. So we're rehearsing at then it was Glassboro State College. We're rehearsing, and Manny Album, who was teaching in Rowan or Glassboro then, is rehearsing us. And we're doing something for a concert. We're rehearsing, and then we take a break. So when we take a break, I put the horn down. All the sax players, everybody puts the horn down. They all file out of the room, grab something to eat. Just, we're taking an hour break or whatever. And as I walk by the baritone sax, which is lying on top of the chair, Al Fisher, he played bari sax. He put it down on the chair. I just kind of picked it up and I plopped it on the chair, and I just blew in it real quick. I just went like ba-da-da-ba-da-da-ba-da, something like that. And as soon as I blew in it, Manny Album said, "You're a bari player." And I was like, no, I'm not. I don't want to be a bari player. I played tenor. Here's my horn is right over there. And he goes, "You're a bari player." And I don't want to hear that. Anyway, I never touch a bari again. I finished college. Boom. I go to graduate school, University of Miami. Played tenor the whole way there. Finished school. Staying in Miami, gigging around, playing tenor. Never thought about it. Then I got the chance to go with Maynard, and that job was for baritone. So I had to borrow a horn, borrowed a horn, made an audition tape, got on the band, and now I'm in Maynard's band playing baritone. And all the time in my head I'm thinking, get back to tenor someday. And one of the tenor players, it was either Danny Jordan or Eric Traub, quit the band, the tenor player, so the tenor chair's open. So I went up to Maynard and I asked him, I said, "Boss, would you mind if I tried out for the tenor chair for tenor?" And, if you could read signals, Maynard communicated a lot by just the way he postured. But not everybody could read signals. It's pretty incredible how many people couldn't see what's right in front of them. So I asked Maynard, I said, "Hey, would you mind if I tried out on tried out on tenor?" And if he wanted you to do that, he would say, yeah, that'd be great. If he didn't want you to do it, he would go, yeah, sure. Okay, so that's, once you got to know him, that's, he would put it out there, and hopefully your radar was good. So I asked him, "Boss, can I try out? Or what do you think?" And he went, sure, yeah, I like the way you play tenor. And I could tell, he wasn't into it. And I said, "Well, what? Tell me what you think." And he's like, "No, tenor. I heard you play. I've heard you pick it up and play it. Yeah, I really like it. Yeah." And I was like, "Come on, So I said, "No, be honest with me. Tell me. I could take it, man." So he kind of looked at me. I think he thought he would disappoint you. And he would never want to do that. That's not in his makeup. So I said, "Tell me. And he would kind of looked at me like, sizing up whether or not he should be honest or not. I guess, man, I don't know. I'm looking back so many years now. But these are stories that stick with you. So anyway, he says, I said, tell me, boss, should I try out for tenor, or what do you think?" And he goes, "Well, it's nice to have a bari player playing bari, and not an alto player playing bari or a tenor player playing bari. I guess it has to do with how you fill it up, how you like." And I always liked the tenor players that had deep, dark sounds, like Sonny Rollins and Dexter Gordon and Gene Ammons, and I like the Don Byas guys that had big sounds, Don Menza. So I guess I don't know. So he said, "Yeah, it's nice to have a bari player playing bari." And I said, "Well, that's like the second time in my life I've heard that, even though we're talking like 15 years apart, maybe 20 years apart." And this is it. So this is the really good thing. I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He goes, "Well, when you play tenor, it sounds real good. But," he says, "when you play baritone, I hear you." And he says, "You come through. And it's Denny." And I was like, "Man." And I told him, I said, well, Manny Adams said that a long time ago when I was in college. And all I did was blow in it. I didn't even take 2 breaths. I just played, and that was it. Manny says, yeah, well, he goes, and here it is. There's the gem. Here's the whole thing. He goes, the instrument you pick to play has nothing at all to do with the instrument that will get your personality out. I said, what? And he says, yeah, some people can play an instrument, and they can play it great. They can play it technically great, but they don't come through on it. Whereas if they picked up another instrument, right away you could tell it's them. Has nothing to do with skill level. Well, maybe not. It has to do with personality. He says, the right instrument, your personality jumps right out. And he says, and a lot of people are playing instruments really well, and it's not the right instrument. And then he said, and some of those people are on this band. Or he said, some of the people who have that situation are on this band right now. Has nothing to do with how good you are or how you practice. It's a certain instrument. And I remember thinking, wow. So then I get off Maynard's band, I'm finished, and now I can play whatever I want. I can go gig and play on alto. So I brought a tenor to a gig. I didn't like it. I brought an alto to a gig. I didn't like it. I felt like half of it was missing. And then eventually I realized, I really do like this horn, Anyway, now I jump ahead like another decade or two, and now I'm teaching at Rowan, and I'm teaching this student alto sax. This kid plays alto sax for 4 years. He's playing alto sax. He does we're studying all the jazz players, Paul Desmond, Art Pepper, Bud Shank, Cannonball Adderley, Johnny Hodges. We're going through the whole alto list, and he's doing all the classical stuff. Everything's on alto, and he plays it good. He plays it pretty well. And then the very last day of his 4th year, he had a soprano. He never played it for me. It was in my office, and I was doing some paperwork on him so he could graduate. And he says, "Why are you doing that paperwork? Do you mind if I play the soprano?" And I just, I haven't really played it much. And I said, "Nah, take it out, fine." So I'm doing paperwork. He puts it together, and he blew one note in it. He went like, that's more than one note. But he played the horn, and immediately it sounded like somebody else. The sound felt free. It felt open. It didn't even sound like him. Now, I heard this kid play for 4 years on alto. And the student plays one breath on the soprano, and it's a whole different person. And I looked at him, I said, "Play something." And everything he was playing, I could hear him. And I'm thinking, oh, man, this is what Maynard was talking about decades earlier. And this is what Manny Album was talking about back when I was like 18 or 19. So it was unbelievable. And this guy never played much soprano. So maybe it's because you listen to so much of one person playing an instrument, maybe you copy them, and you don't come out until you play something different, or I don't know. But since that whole thing has happened, you can pick it out. You can't always pick out if it's wrong, but you can always pick out when it's right. You can always hear a personality. When a personality comes through, and it's almost as if they don't have to be that good on the instrument. Being really good is irrelevant to having up to a certain point. You have to be somewhat functioning. But you can tell if the personality comes out if they're playing the right instrument. It's pretty interesting. It was one of those kind of things. So it's a sense of, you can pick the instrument, but eventually the right instrument hopefully will pick you. Interesting stuff. Because any saxophone player can play soprano, alto, tenor, bari, and bass, sopranino. We can all play all of them. But your personality is going to really come out on one of them. And you have nothing to say about it. You have nothing to say about it. And hopefully you pick the right one. But I never forget, Maynard said that. He goes, you can be really great at an instrument that doesn't speak to your personality. Because you could just pick up another instrument. If it's the right instrument, boom, you could tell. And some people, very few, but some people can actually come through on a couple different instruments. I remember Sonny Rollins saying how Yusef Lateef always sounded like Yusef, no matter what he picked up. That's something else. That has to do with how, I guess, open you are, or how willing you are to expose yourself or whatever. I don't, we're just talking like, is it spiritual? Is it a alpha waves? Is it, Obi-Wan Kenobi stuff? I mean, I don't really know. But it was interesting. When the student played the soprano, it was like night and day. It was like a light switch went off. So, players are not always playing the instrument that exposes their personality, even if they're great at it. They might not be playing the right instrument. Anyway, I thought that was interesting.